I've always been the biggest movie fan from as early as I can remember. I have adored movies and I've always coveted physical media. From when I started getting videotapes as presents when I was younger, carried forth to now, where I just love physical media. I think it's a real treat and exceptional. And from the early days of VHS into Laserdiscs, into DVD, into Blu-ray, and now we have the ultimate, the 4K Conundrum. Whether this will be the last physical media, I guess we'll have to wait and see. In the kind of heyday of home video, it really picked off with DVD. That's where the thing really exploded, having all these movies on discs that were fairly easy and cost effective to produce, and the sales were through the roof. And that started to die off a little bit just as Blu-ray came in. And the difference between DVD and Blu-ray was extremely noticeable. You know, I've said before, when I first got a Blu-ray player, I had the Speed Racer Blu-ray and the Speed Racer DVD. I had them both playing at the same time, and I sat and flicked between the channels, and I could see a huge world of difference. It is a vast difference between DVD and Blu-ray. The difference between Blu-ray and 4K is not as noticeable unless I've got my projector out and the 4K on that. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Sometimes the Blu-ray is a better transfer than the actual 4K disc, and that brings me to one of the things about 4K that stops me from fully just diving into it. And there's a few factors here I want to talk about, things that just hold me back from fully going crazy on that format. Now, the first thing is all about the technical aspects of it. What's the bit rate? How good is the transfer? Does it have any banding? Does it have any DNR? How is these things done? It's not just a case of putting the movie on the disc anymore. There's a real art to making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. Does it have a tint? Should it be removed? What's the proper colour grading on this thing? It's so technical that it's hard to really break down as to what is right and what is wrong. And I have to look at a lot of the reviews to see if there's any major issues with the transfer, because you want the best kind of image. You want what's truest to what the film was, not something that you may have been seeing for years that's not the right way that the movie should be seen. But it's hard to find that proper transfer, and it comes down to whichever company or person is behind the production of the disc. What kind of effort have they put into it? What is their reputation like? What other discs have they worked on? To really just buy something of high quality, it's not just as simple as going in and going, do I want the Blu-ray or the 4K? It's looking at the work behind it to see what has been done. Recently I picked up Tremors. That's a movie that I know inside out. I've seen it lots. I've had it on several various editions, and picking up the 4K is instantly as putting it on. I knew this was an amazing transfer. It looked clear, crisp, the colours popped, and it just had never looked as good as it did. But there's been some 4K discs that I've put on where I can't really tell much of a difference between that and a really good Blu-ray. So coming down to the transfer means that you need to do a little bit of work. You can't just see an upcoming list of pre-orders and go, I'll have that, that and that. You need to wait. You need to see the reviews. You need to see that this thing has been treated with kid gloves and the care that it needs to be. This is no longer just a case of throwing the movie on the disc and we lit it up. As collectors, we want the best, and we know that we have to do a little bit of research now. One of the other factors that really hold me back is the price point of these things. They are expensive, and they seem to be getting more expensive, and they don't really seem to drop in price too much. There is the odd occasion you can pick up a decent priced disc or in multi-buy offers, but for a new release it's often £20-25, maybe even more, which is a little bit excessive in my mind. You know, movies are pricey as they are. As a collector, you probably want a few. It's not as if you're buying one every now and again. You're usually buying every other week a movie, so you want to make sure that you're getting value for money. And for me, spending £25 on a new movie that comes out, say I wanted Blade buying that or having the choice of picking up two Masters of Cinema, releases at $12.50 each, I'm going to go with the Masters of Cinema movies because I understand the treatment behind them. I understand the quality of them. I still want Blade, but I'm going to choose the quantity over the single edition movie. And with boutiques getting into the market as well, this is really starting to really ignite my passion for the format, but also temper my expectations. I bought Tremors. Tremors was £30 when it was pre-ordered. A week or two later on Amazon it dropped to 24 quid. That £6 means a lot to me. I don't have all the money in the world to just throw at these things. I have to be a little bit savvy with what I picked up. Now Tremors, I wanted, I needed that, I got it. But you're looking at some of the other big releases that are coming out. This month, in a week or so, we're going to be getting Demons 1 and 2, which I cannot wait to get. That's £45. I can just about justify that because it's two movies. It's a great package and it does look as if it's got a wealth of extras. I can just about manage that. You look at the upcoming Donnie Darko release, and I'm just picking on Arrow Video here for a small moment. It's £35 for the 4K of this, and it doesn't look as if much has changed from their current edition on Blu-ray that they have. Is that too much to ask for a movie that they've had out for a couple of years that is already high quality? Unless you're a super fan of that movie, it's on the shelf of being a little bit too expensive. Even looking at their Battle Royale, which I have pre-ordered and I am hoping to get, at £60. That's a lot of money for one movie. Now we've seen some examples of that working for certain films. The huge second sight release of Dawn of the Dead was an exemplary release. It was a definitive edition. I won't ever have to buy that movie again. The transfers, the work put into it was amazing, and they are perfect. Done. I got the soundtracks, I got the books with it, I got all the stuff, the packaging. Great release. Done. I don't want that to become a common thing. I don't want there to be multiple releases a year of definitive articles of movies. You can't buy them all, for starters. And now we have Battle Royale already in April. Is there going to be more this year that we're going to have to get as well? I'm worried. I'm just a bit worried about the price fact and the boutiques going into them as well. One of the things that I'm also kind of curious about is, as a fan of boutiques, one who likes the labels, what would you do if given the choice between, and I'll take for instance Criterion here, who have a wonderful disc of Parasite, or the 4K disc of Parasite? You get the Criterion, you get the OCD of the numbers, you get the collection of that boutique, but the 4K disc is a better transfer of the movie. Just a curiosity out of the collectors out there, what would you choose in that instance? 4K for me is something that I do love. I do like when it's done right, and it's something that I've made a conscious decision to make sure that I don't just blind buy or buy lots of things for the sake of it. I don't want to do that. Blu-ray is going to be the biggest bulk of my collection, and for the most part, most of the movies are going to be fine. They'll be perfect enough. I buy lots of older titles, and the Blu-ray treatment, perfectly fine. No issues. I'm still marvelled by some of the transfers we get on older films. But I have made my decision. I'm going to curate my 4K collection. It's going to be movies that I deeply, utterly love, that I want to have a 4K collection that won't be large, that is definitive of me. When you look at my collection, you can see my personality in it. That's what I want most of all. I want to show off that I like crazy exploitation movies, horror movies, classic 80s films are going to be my kind of thing. There'll be the odd exception to that, but for the most part, I'm going to be very careful about what I pick up in 4K. It's not going to be everything. It's going to be minimal. I want to know, what's your plan for 4K? Are you embracing it? Are you getting everything in 4K? Or is it just the odd title like me? Let me know in the comment box below. I'll see you next time on Man v Film.